A car sits on the side of the highway. Steam rises from under the hood like smoke from a dying fire. Inside, the driver stares at a needle pinned in the red zone, wondering what just happened to a car that ran perfectly fine yesterday. What if the part responsible for this disaster is smaller than your thumb, costs less than your lunch, and almost nobody knows it exists? Every engine runs hot. That's not a flaw, it's physics. Fuel burns, metal expands, friction builds heat. And if nothing manages that heat, the engine destroys itself in minutes. The part that manages this invisible war is called the coolant temperature sensor. It is the messenger between your engine and your car's brain. And when that message gets corrupted, everything downstream starts making the wrong decisions. It starts cold. The engine is off. The metal is at rest. And the coolant, sitting inside the block, is the same temperature as the morning air. The sensor, sitting quietly near the thermostat housing, reads this as a high-resistance signal translation. It's cold in here. The key turns. Combustion begins. Within seconds, the metal around the sensor starts absorbing heat, and the coolant, flowing past the sensor's tip, starts climbing in temperature. By the time the engine reaches roughly 90 to 105 degrees Celsius, the sensor signal stabilizes. The ECU now knows the engine has reached full operating temperature, and it shifts strategy: leaner fuel mixture, normal idle speed, and the cooling fan kicks in exactly when needed. This is the healthy story. But the moment the sensor sends a false signal, every one of those decisions starts going wrong, and the car has no way of knowing it is being lied to. The first clue sits right on the dashboard. A temperature gauge that swings wildly between cold and hot, or one that sits permanently on one extreme, is the most visible sign a driver gets. The second clue is fuel consumption. When the sensor falsely reports a cold engine, the ECU keeps dumping extra fuel into the mixture. The third clue is the cooling fan, running constantly even when the engine is cold. The fourth clue comes from the scanner itself, showing the real numbers in live data. To confirm the diagnosis, plug in your OBD2 scanner and watch live coolant temperature data. A healthy engine climbs gradually from outside air temperature up to around 90 degrees and holds steady there. For deeper confirmation, test resistance directly with a multimeter. A cold sensor at room temperature typically reads close to 2,500 ohms. Warmed in a cup of hot water, that same sensor should drop toward 200 ohms, smoothly and without jumps. Not every overheating story starts with the sensor. Sometimes, the real cause is a thermostat stuck closed, trapping hot coolant inside the block. Other times, the wiring is the true culprit. A corroded connector can mimic every symptom of a failed sensor. Low coolant level or a trapped air pocket can also produce confusing readings, even from a sensor working exactly as designed. This is why a careful diagnosis checks the whole system, not just one part in isolation. For most drivers, this isn't an abstract technical curiosity. It's the moment a daily commute turns into a roadside wait and an unexpected bill. Think of the coolant sensor as a single nerve ending in a much larger nervous system. It doesn't move anything. It doesn't burn fuel. It just reports. But the entire body reacts based on what that one nerve says. It's a perfect example of how modern engines work. Here's what we know for certain. A healthy sensor reports a smooth, gradual temperature rise, and its fault codes point clearly to circuit, range, or signal problems. Here's what still needs testing on any specific car. Whether the fault lies in the sensor, the wiring, or a different part, like the thermostat. If the multimeter and OBD2 data both point to the sensor, replacement is fast and low cost. If the wiring shows corrosion, but the sensor tests fine, a simple clean and reseat may solve it. A car's dashboard can only tell you the truth its sensors give it. And now you know exactly how to check whether that truth is being told correctly. If this helped you understand what's really happening under your hood, the next video in this series breaks down the crankshaft position sensor, the part responsible for whether your engine starts at all. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.